Hey, we're on number 5 of 7 ways to be prepared for your small group in order to have an effective small group time. And today, the topic is actually preparation. So I want to just talk with you about a few reasons why it would be good for you to be prepared, why that helps, and why you should do this on a regular basis. First of all, when you're prepared to lead the discussion, when you're prepared to answer the questions that are given, you are able to help cut down on the amount of distractions that you have. So if we're constantly trying to explain what we mean by the question, or constantly trying to get our group to listen to what the question is, then what happens is you start to give space and time for people to begin to wander in their mind or wander in their voices, and they begin to be distracted easily. By being prepared, you cut down on the distraction time. Secondly, when you are prepared, it helps your group actually believe you know what you're talking about. Have you ever seen somebody wing something epically and you could tell that they were winging it? Well, your small group will pick up on the fact that you're winging it as well. So being prepared is extremely helpful because it'll help your group actually know that you know what you're talking about. And that's a good thing for a small group leader to know what they're talking about. Thirdly, when you're prepared, it just improves the overall quality of your small group. I find that in everything I do in life, the more prepared I am for it, the better it goes. When I do things just off the cuff, it leaves more opportunity for error. It leaves more opportunity for frustration. It leaves more opportunity for Christ not to be glorified in it. You know, we really ought to be prepared for everything we do because that's kind of the standard that God gives us anyways, that we should be diligent, we should be prepared, we should put our best forward so that God can receive the honor and the glory. And by being prepared, you allow that to happen a lot more effectively. Here's how to prepare specifically for your small group. First of all, it would be the expectation that every one of our small group leaders is on a regular basis putting attention to growing spiritually themselves. So you are actively involved in studying God's Word, memorizing God's Word, prayer. You are actively involved in your own spiritual life, and you are constantly trying to improve in your spiritual life. This is extremely important because if we're going to ask young people to begin making decisions about being serious about God, they need an example from their leader of somebody who is serious about their relationship with God. And feel free to talk with your small group about that. Talk about how God's working in your life and how He's helping you. Secondly, the second way to be prepared is to read through the lesson and read through the text each week before you actually get there. We're going to be going through Hebrews. Let me just give you a hint about Hebrews. You cannot go through Hebrews, read it the day of, and come away with a great explanation of the text that you're about to read. I'm sorry, you can't do it. I try. I know I'm not as smart as most of you, but I can't do it. It takes preparation, it takes work, it takes understanding what's going on and really going back to the Old Testament in a lot of cases to get a better understanding of what's being talked about. So read the text, read the lesson. I'm going to be sending the lessons out a month in advance. That gives you plenty of time to read through it. Each lesson is going to have a section that is entirely devoted to nothing but the theological understanding of the text. And then a section devoted to the pastoral development of the text. And then a section applied to the application of the text. And so I want you to actually read through those and be prepared, all right? Thirdly, go ahead and answer the questions you're going to ask the small group yourself beforehand. Like, be prepared to answer that. Be prepared to sit down with them and give an answer if there's a dead space, not just making up something on the spot, all right? You can actually get more application out of it if you'll spend some time thinking about the questions instead of just coming up with Jesus-type answers, coming up with answers where it really is effective in that person's life and where you can say, hey, look, I really struggle with this, all right? Fourth, relate the things from the lesson and kind of fine-tune it for your small group based upon what you know about your small group because of your regular contact with them. So when you know that a person is particularly struggling in this particular area or whatever, now you want to be careful not to break confidentiality, but make sure you can point the passage towards the areas where it helps them in life. When it talks about things where, you know, maybe a great illustration is it's talking about running the race and doing those kinds of things, and you know you have a group of kids who don't care about athletics at all. maybe find a better way to explain that same exact illustration to them in a context that they'll understand. So whatever it is, you know, Darth Vader or whatever you got to explain it with, use it so that they understand. And then fifthly, have things ready to talk about with your small group in the times when there's not forced discussion. In other words, when you get there and you see your small group members, have things ready to talk with them about. There is no way to show somebody that you don't really care about them than to ask them the same 3 questions every time you see them. If every time you see me you say, "Hi, how was your week? Hi, how was school? Hi, how is life?" It doesn't show me that you actually really care about me, but rather that you're filling a dead space with some questions. So come up with some more personal questions, some better questions. How about some questions like, you can cover the same exact topics, but with better questions. "Hey, you said this week you had a soccer game on Tuesday. How'd that go?" "Oh, really? Good. You guys won. That's good." And then follow up with some other questions with that. Or, "Hey, you said you've been struggling with your parents a little bit this last week. How did that go? Were you able to show respect to your parents in a way that you should?" Or, "Hey, you told me last week that you really wanted to punch your brother in the Adam's apple. Did you avoid that? Did you keep that under control? Were you able to do something fun with him?" And when you start having those kinds of conversations and those kinds of questions, you're going to help them. So be prepared for the dead spaces in your time together as a small group. I hope that as you prepare for your small group, you will see that your small group becomes more effective this year.